Hello, travelers and monster catchers abound. I'm Stella Ferris, and you've crash landed on the Monster Catchers Journal podcast. Welcome back, and I'm glad that you guys have come. Also, enjoy the story as I tell what happened with the tablet from the last episode, the iron tablet. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the story that I'm about to tell. We didn't go to the Terraformia hot springs looking for trouble. But trouble, like always, found us. It started with that iron tablet Hamphet uncovered beneath the stone. At first I thought it was just an old relic, but when I cleaned off the surface I realized something strange about it. The markings weren't just decorative, they were glyph script. Ancient. Older than anything I'd ever seen before. Even older than records from Luan Academy. Zena leaned over my shoulder. Can you read it? Not at all, I said, but I understand enough. I traced one of the symbols with my fingers. It depicts a bowl with long flowing shapes like strands. Noodles, maybe? Luna said. I blinked. I think so. That night something changed. The hot springs began to bubble, not violently, but gently, like something beneath the surface was breathing. Hamphet stood at the edge of the water, his tail shifting between toes rapidly. He was reacting to something. Then, the water glowed. A soft golden light rose from the spring, and slowly, something emerged. Ramda appears. At first I thought it was just a floating bowl. A simple wooden ramen bowl steaming softly, but then the surface rippled, and from inside the broth, long strands rose. Noodles. They lifted into the air like tentacles, moving, alive. Zena whispered, "Is that a glyph?" The noodles curled and stretched, supporting the bowl as it hovered above the water. Two small glowing eyes appeared in the broth. The creature looked at us, curious, peaceful, hungry. I stepped forward slowly. "You came from the tablet, didn't you?" The creature tilted slightly. Then one noodle gently tapped the edge of the iron tablet, like it recognized it. I smiled. Welcome. I opened my journal. Glyph identified Ramda. Type, unknown, likely food, spirit hybrid. Behavior, calm, curious, reactive to warmth. Notable trait, noodle tentacle mobility. Ramda wasn't aggressive. It didn't attack, it didn't run. It simply stayed, floating gently near the hot spring. When I offered it a bit of broth from my travel pack, the noodles perked up excitedly. It wrapped the bowl carefully and absorbed the warmth. Luna laughed. "It likes soup." "It is soup." Over the next hour, Ramda followed us around the springs, its noodle tentacles gently tapping stone water, even Hamphet's hammertail. Hamphet bonked the ground once in approval. That's when I knew. This wasn't just a random glyph. This was something ancient, something tied to the tablet. It had chosen to appear now, in front of us, for us, to us. We didn't expect the extraordinary thing to happen that happened just after his evolution. It was so quickly. But ancient glyphs don't follow normal rules. Neither do legendary glyphs. The twin suns and three moons hit the tablet and it began to glow again. Ramda froze. Its noodles lifted high into the air. The broth inside the bowl began to swirl. Steam poured out in thick clouds. Stella Ferris, Zena said quietly. "I think it's evolving." The glow intensified. Ramda's form began to change. The bowl widened, the noodles thickened and condensed. Then, two shapes formed on either side of the bowl. Handles, maybe? No. Not handles, teapots. One arm formed fully, a teapot with a curved spout. Golden liquid poured from it like glowing tea. The other arm followed, another teapot, but darker, thicker. It poured steaming hot broth. The noodles retracted into stronger, more controlled limbs. The eyes in the bowl burned brighter. The transformation completed in a burst of steam. The creature stood before us, elegant, strange, powerful. A living ramen spirit, with 2 teapot arms, one pouring soothing tea, the other pouring scalding soup. Luna whispered, "Okay, that's amazing." I stepped forward. "You're not just ramen anymore, are you?" The creature lifted both arms. One poured a gentle stream of tea onto the ground. Flowers nearby perked up instantly. The other poured hot soup onto a cracked stone. The stone sealed and hard and stronger than before. I smiled. "I understand." I wrote quickly in my journal. Evolution recorded. Ramyu. Type. Spirit, Forge, Essence. Ability. Tea of Restoration, Healing, Growth. Broth of Reinforcement, Strengthening, Defense. Hamphet stepped forward and tapped the evolved glyph. Hammer to head. The evolved ramen glyph responded by pouring tea over Hamphet's tail. It shimmered, stronger, refined. Zena gasped. They worked together, forge and nourishment, creation and restoration. I looked at both of them standing under the steam of the hot springs, and it hit me. The tablet wasn't just describing a glyph, it was describing a pair, a system, a balance. That night, as the steam settled and the springs quieted, I wrote one final note for that night. Some glyphs are born from nature, some from chaos, but some are born to support others. Ramda was never meant to fight, it was meant to nurture, restore, and strengthen, and together with Hamphet, it may become one of the most important discoveries in all of Terraformia. The next morning felt different. Not quieter, not louder, just fuller. Like the air itself had changed after Ramyu emerged from the hot springs. I woke up to the soft sound of bubbling water instead of metal smashing for once. No clanks, no whams, just a gentle pouring sound. I sat up. Okay, that's new. When I stepped outside, the Terraformia hot springs were glowing brighter than the night before. Steam drifted slowly across the surface, and standing at the edge of the water was Ramyu, graceful, still. One teapot arm poured a thin steam of gold tea into the spring. The other gently released warm broth into the cracked stone ledge nearby. And right before my eyes, the stone sealed itself, smooth, perfect. Stronger than before, Zena walked up beside me. "Tell me you're seeing this too." "I am," I said, "and I think I know what it means." Luna dipped her hand into the water, her eyes widened instantly. "It's warmer than yesterday and lighter." She splashed some on a wilted plant growing near the rocks. Within seconds, the plant straightened, its leaf brightened. New buds formed. Zena blinked. Okay, that's not normal. I flipped open my journal. Ramyu effect confirmed. Tea, restorative, growth-based properties. Broth, reinforcement, structural enhancement, environmental impact, active. I looked up at Ramyu. "You're not just helping us. You're changing the whole area." Ramyu tilted slightly, as if acknowledging me. Behind us. Bonk! Hamphet waddled into the scene. He looked at Ramyu, then at the glowing spring, then back at Ramyu. His tail shifted into a wrench, then a hammer, then something new. A polished, glowing, refined hammer. Zena gasped. "His tools look upgraded." Ramyu gently poured a small steam of tea over Hamphet's tail. The metal shimmered brightly, smoother, stronger. Hamphet squeaked happily and tapped the ground. Bonk! This time the stone didn't crack, it compressed. Perfectly shaped. Luna crossed her arms with a grin. "Oh yeah, that's definitely a team." I wanted to be sure, so we ran tests. Zena dragged over a damaged rover panel, cracked, rusted, and barely usable. "Hamphet," I said, "go ahead." His tail turned into a wrench and began working, but this time Ramyu joined him, one arm pouring broth over the metal, the other dripped tea across the edge. The panel began to glow faintly. Hamphet tightened the last bolt. He stepped back. Zena powered it on. The panel hummed to life, stronger, cleaner, perfect, better than new. Zena just stared at it. "We didn't fix it, we improved it." That's when it hit me, hard. This wasn't just about one glyph or even two. This was a whole system. Hamphet builds, Ramyu refines. Together, they don't just repair the world around them, they upgrade it. I slowly looked back toward the iron tablet. The symbol suddenly made more sense. It wasn't describing a single glyph. It was describing a partnership, a balance of creation and nourishment. Just as I was writing this down, Ramyu froze. The steam around the spring shifted. Hamphet's tail snapped into a hammer instantly. Both of them looked toward the far end of the hot springs. The water then began to ripple, not gently, not peacefully. Something else was reacting, something deeper, older. Luna stepped closer to me. Stella Ferris. I nodded slowly. I know. I closed my journal. I don't think Ramyu was the only thing sleeping under these springs. The water bubbled harder. A shadow moved beneath the surface. And for the first time since we arrived, the hot springs didn't feel relaxing anymore. The water didn't calm down any. It just got worse. Not after Ramyu. Not after the upgrades. If anything, it got worse. The far end of Terraformia hot springs churned like a storm trapped underwater. Steam twisted unnaturally, the glow dimmed, and the shadow remained. Hamphet stood in front of me, his tail locked into a hammer form. Ramyu floated beside him, both teapots raised, ready, waiting. Then the water went still, too still. Luna whispered, I don't like that. Neither did I, because I couldn't see it anymore. Whatever had been moving beneath the surface was gone. The first strike was a bit harsh. A ripple appeared behind us. Then, splash! Something shot out of the water and slammed into the rocks. Spikes scraped stone. I spun around and finally saw it. A long, sleek, koi-like fish. Glyph. His body covered in sharp, jagged spikes like crystallized fins, scales shimmering, but not in one color. They shifted, black, stone gray, steam white. It blended perfectly with whatever it moved near. Zena stepped back. It just appeared into the rock. Or disappeared into the rock, sorry. The creature's body flickered. For a second, it vanished again, then reappeared in the water like it had never left. I grabbed my journal immediately. Unknown glyph, koi variant. Type, water, shadow, adaptive. Trait, environmental camouflage. Additional trait, spike defense structure. The koi circled slowly beneath the water, watching us, studying, not attacking, not yet. Ramyu poured a small steam of tea into the spring. The water brightened. For a moment, the koi's outline became visible, but then its scale shifted again. Then it blended with the glowing water itself. Okay, that's not fair, Luna said. It can hide in light, too. The creature emerged slowly from the water, hovering just above the surface. Its body shimmered between colors like it couldn't decide what it wanted to be. Or maybe it was choosing. I stepped forward carefully. You're not like the others, are you? The koi tilted its head slightly. Its spikes flared, then it disappeared again, only to reappear right behind Hamphet. Hamphet spun. Bonk! The hammer hit nothing. The koi had already shifted away, fast, smart, untouchable. I smiled slightly. You're not hiding. You're adapting. The koi stilled for just a moment, and that's when I said, Your name is Kairo, isn't it? The water rippled. The koi's body stabilized briefly in a deep black and silver pattern, like it accepted the name. Kairo's power wasn't just invisibility. It was something far more dangerous. I tested it. I picked up a metal plate and held it near the water. Kairo's scales shifted instantly, now reflecting metal texture. Then Luna tossed a glowing stone nearby. Kairo adapted again, now glowing faintly like the mineral. Zena crossed her arms. So it can blend into anything, not just blend. I said, it becomes part of the environment. Ability identified. Adaptive mirage. Kairo can shift its scale's color, texture, light reflection to match surroundings. Secondary effect, near total visual appearance. Then something incredible happened. Hamphet stepped forward. Ramyu floated beside him. Kairo circled them both. For a moment, all three glyphs stood together. Forge, nourish, adapt. Hamphet struck the ground. Ramyu poured broth. Kairo vanished. then reappeared, reinforcing the edges of the newly formed structure with perfect camouflage spikes. Zena gasped. They're working together. I nodded slowly. The tablet. It wasn't just a story, it was a system. 3 glyphs discovered beneath the Terraformia hot springs. Hamphet, the builder, Ramyu, the restorer, and Kairo, the adapter. Creation, preservation, survival. Alone, each is powerful. But together, they don't just change the world, they shape it. That night, everything finally made sense. Not just Ramyu, not just Kairo, and not even just Hamphet. All of it. The iron tablet, the hot springs, the way their abilities fit together like pieces of something bigger. I finally understood where Hamphet came from. He wasn't just a random glyph I found outside the cross-sigil outpost. He was part of something ancient. He was part of the 3 legendary glyphs. Something intentional. A system that had existed long before me, just waiting to be found again. We stood quietly at the edge of Terraformia hot springs. Steam drifted around us. Hamphet sat beside me, gently tapping the ground with his hammer tail. Ramyu floated calmly in the glowing water. Kairo circled beneath the surface, barely visible unless you knew where to look. Zena crossed her arms. So what now? Luna leaned against a rock. Yeah, what do we do with them? I didn't have an answer right away, because I already knew. Back at the outpost, we had the Glyph orphanage, a place for lost, abandoned, or untrained glyphs to be cared for and eventually adopted. It was a good place, a safe place, but as I looked at Hamphet, at Ramyu, and at Kairo, I knew something. They didn't belong there. Senna raised an eyebrow. No. I shook my head. They're not lost. They're waiting for someone else. They found us. They're not lost. They're not waiting for someone else. They found us. The next morning we returned to the cross-sigil outpost. The courtyard felt different in that moment. Like something had shifted. Hamphet walked ahead proudly, his tail twitching between toes as if showing off. Ramyu floated beside the water basin, gently pouring tea into the cracked stone, restoring it instantly. Kairo vanished into the shadows of the walls, only to reappear silently on top of the gate, watching, protecting. Luna looked around. They're already settling in. Zena smirked. Yeah, I think we've been adopted. I laughed softly. Yeah, I think we have. I knelt down beside Hamphet. He looked up at me, eyes bright, tail gently bonking the ground. I scratched behind his ear. You're not going anywhere, I told him. Yet Ramyu drifted closer, steam curling softly in the air. Kairo appeared briefly beside them, spikes glinting before fading again. I stood up and looked at all 3 of them. I'm not sending you to the orphanage. Zena nodded. Good. Luna grinned. Yeah, I'd fight you if you did. I smiled. No, you 3 are staying here, at the outpost with us. The evening, I wrote one of the most important entries I've ever made. Some glyphs come and go, some are trained and sent on their way, but some stay. Not because they have to, but because they chose to. Hamphet, Ramyu, and Kairo are no longer just glyphs under my care. They are part of the cross-sigil outpost, part of the work I do here at the cross-sigil outpost, part of the balance that keeps the outpost running in perfect synchronization, and most importantly, part of my family. They are what keeps me happy. As the twin suns and the 3 moons sat in their normal place over the outpost, I sat in the courtyard watching them. Hamphet fixed a broken lantern. Ramyu restored the garden. Kairo kept watch from the shadows. 3 completely different glyphs working together, living together, belonging. I leaned back and smiled. Yeah, this is exactly where you're meant to be. Hamphet tapped my boot with his hammer tail. Ramyu poured a gentle steam of tea into the soil beside me. Kairo flicked into view just long enough to sit beside us, and for the first time since this all began, everything felt complete. And with that, another story ends on a beautiful day here on Terraformia, on the planet Nibiru in the Exxon Galaxy. And I hope that Zelthar will shine his beautiful light down on you on this beautiful day. Thank you, and I will see you next time. Peace now.